ecosystem is very vibrant because you have a youthful population that is really willing to change the status quo. But the skills sets, and the different possibilities of tapping into the potentials of those youth are a bit, I would say, not neglected but not served fully. So those are the challenges, and also sector-specific support is also difficult, like for people who want to venture into technology, having support systems that would be able to channel, the ventures. It's a bit difficult. In terms of gaps, there are great lack of branding services. Like also packaging is nearly inexistent. It's like you have many entrepreneurs who would like to venture into tea making, for example, who are finding it difficult to find tea bags, let alone even like the outlet, the general packaging. And then what happens is either they outsource from Nigeria or from China, which is really very costly for them, and then that doesn't make them as competitive as they could be. And that's just one example. Most of the entrepreneurs in Sierra Leone whose products need packaging are struggling with that. So aside that, also the enabling environment, that's across the continent, but it's also very specific in Sierra Leone. And I do believe that with the potential that the youth has, if the enabling environment was prioritized, really we would see a lot of movement in that sector. So, Craving for Development is in its, and Mozambique has a Pan-African mandate. And we organize many Pan-African events. We have the Pan-African Symposium on Agriculture that brings entrepreneurs from many different African countries, and that makes us understand, and experience the differences between, let's say, an agro-entrepreneur in Sierra Leone and an agro-entrepreneur, or in West Africa, and an agro-entrepreneur in this eastern part of the world or the southern part of the world. And that's due to the fact that if you take agriculture, for example, in South Africa, that's the backbone of the economy, you would say. And it's so prioritized, and they are talking more about, smart agriculture, and so much intention. There is so much intention in the system, and so much money is being invested, that investing in that sector boosts or multiplies the chances of the entrepreneur, as compared to countries where agriculture is not prioritized, or when agriculture is not yet at the level of industrialization. So that's exactly what I mean with the enabling environment, because you depend on the political will of your own decision makers. That's one. You take the example of innovation and technology. East Africa is known for being, really very intentional, like Kenya, for one. So that's very different from, let's say, Sierra Leone, where the government is very intentional about technology and innovation. We have the DSTI, the Directorate for Science, Technology and Innovation. But I wouldn't say the drive is not the same, but the magnitude of the services that the Directorate is capable of giving to the population is at its nascent stages, And at the same time, even having those entrepreneurs who are really very interested in innovation is a bit difficult. And that, I think, has to do with the educational system. So if the government is intentional about one sector, then what happens, or what should happen, is that they boost the system by injecting enough money, and enough money in terms of funding, right? In terms of like ease of courses and specialization around that, but also enabling trials and failures in that sector. So those are many ways in which ecosystems can differ. Just because one ecosystem sees it necessary to prioritize one sector. Like you take the example of one that you have robots being manufactured. You hear about phones being manufactured. So that's like very aspirational, and I think that's what both governments and populations are lacking in certain areas of the continent, and that's the reason why we really have that Pan-African drive, because it doesn't make sense that some parts of Africa are very advanced in some aspects of entrepreneurship, and other parts of the continent don't benefit from it. That's I think the main reason why we should interact, learn from each other, and complement each other. To me, successful ecosystems are made of enterprises, of businesses that are really scalable, that grow into their full potential, and that are investable. So just like focusing on having the numbers, so everybody's talking about entrepreneurship, but then having an incubator, an accelerator that supports 100 businesses per year and says that they all receive $5,000, I don't think that's where we should be. That's what success looks like. To me, it's more of scalability. How many of those businesses have been able to receive $1 million, let's say? But also at the top of the pyramid when it comes to growth for businesses in Africa, I think would be for them to be able to invest back in their own community. The same way at the base of the pyramid, when you were starting, you were supported. Then at the top, when you are now able to invest, to receive that much money, and to even translate that money into investment and support as an enterprise. That's how we develop chains of businesses that can serve across regions, and that's what the AFTA is about. We have that great tool that we have that can help inter-Africa trade. So if we are just developing small-scale businesses, we are not doing anything. We're just moving. You see movement, but you don't see progress. So to me, utilizing that capacity we have of scaling those businesses and turning them into giants of Africa, being able to trade among regions and countries, I think that's what success looks like.